Welcome back to the Crochet Class with my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to do the Star Cluster Crochet Blanket. This is featuring Caron Baby Cakes. This is a free tearaway pattern and is a free pattern available online as well. And we are going to be doing clusters but in a star formation. Now the tearaway here has mistakes in the instructions and I'm going to show you where those are. And then we're going to get you started because once you get started you can go as big or as little as you need. So to get started today, it says that you need 5 balls of yarn in order to do the size, but that includes the pom-poms. So if you decide now to do the pom-poms here, you can probably save a little bit of yarn as well. And of course you can use that extra yarn to make it even bigger if you wish. So it is using the Caron Baby Cakes here. This is not a wool product unlike the regular Caron Cakes. This is 82% acrylic, 18% nylon, and this works out really quite wonderfully, and you can see that you have the beautiful colors just like you see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to show you where the mistakes are in the pattern, and then we're going to get started, and then I'm going to take you through that as well. So looking at this instructions, the diagram is wrong in comparison to the instructions. So I actually followed the diagram the first time around without reading the instructions, and the center was puckering because there was too much going on in the middle here as per the diagram. Once I got to this level here, there was actually a stitch missing, and it's just an oversight. You know, the speed of which content is being made does happen from time to time. So what we're going to do today is that we are going to get you started. We're going to follow the written instruction because the written instruction, I have a sample. Instead of it said to chain 5 here in the diagram, but the instructions say to chain 4. Chain 4 is the correct one. I did a sample just to make sure, and then this here is just missing the symbol, but it actually should be there as well. So let me show you the sample, and then once I get you started, you're good to go. So here's a sample of starting the star, and you can see that we're going to start off in the round, and we're going to continue to do round, and then we'll do a round one more time, and then finally we're going to transition to a star. Once we transition to the star, the next one and all of the rest of them from that point on is the exact same row. The only difference is that you have to add more stitches along here because the star is going to get wider and wider. So where you stop from that point is completely up to you and is your personal creativity. In order to play today, you need a 5mm size crochet hook today, and recommending Caron Baby Cakes yarn. So let's get started. So let's begin. We're going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to chain a total of 4. So I'm going as per the written instructions, and I know that it works. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I want you to insert your hook into the beginning chain, and I want you to yarning over and pulling it through and through to create the center ring, and I want you to keep this straggler here on top of the ring so that we can get it stuck in round number 1. So let's begin round number 1 now. Now in this particular pattern they have 3 double crochet clusters and 2 double crochet clusters, and so whenever you're doing the 2, that's always the starting of a round, so that just makes it easier. So you're going to chain 3 to start the round, so 1, 2, 3, and the very first time that you start a round in this round and all the rounds, it's going to be 2 crochets together, 2 double crochets together. So wrap the hook going into the center of the ring, pull through and pull through 2 and hold it onto the hook. I want you to do that again. So wrap and into the center of the ring, pull through and pull through 2 and hold it onto the hook. You now have 3 loops on the hook, yarning over, pulling through all 3. So the beautiful thing about this is that the clusters, other than the points when we get there, will always have 2 chains that separate them, so it's nice and easy to remember. And now we're going to do a 3 double crochet cluster. So wrapping the hook and in and pull through 2 and hold, and do that 2 more times. So wrap into the ring, pull through 2 and hold, and wrap and in, pull through 2 and hold. You're going to have a total of 4 loops. So this is a regular cluster that you see in the rest of the blanket. It's only the 2s that start off around. So you're going to pull through all 4 loops and chain 2. So coming into the center of the ring once again, you're going to go in and you're doing another cluster. So pull through 2 and hold, and you do that 2 more times after that. And then once you have all of them done, you're going to pull through all 4 loops. So the goal here is to get 5 of these clusters going all the way around. So chain 2 to separate them and just do it again. So wrap, pull through 2 and hold, and I'm going right over top of that beginning straggler as well. So I'm trapping that into position so I don't have to worry about it later. Once you have your 4 loops, you're done. pull through, and then pull through two times for chain 2, and then go in one last time. You can see that there's 4 on here. We need a total of 5. There's 5 points in this star. So keep on making your cluster. Once you get your 4 loops, you're done. So pull through and then pull through 2 and 2, so chain 2, and go to the very top of the first cluster to form your slip stitch to finish. And you will have this kind of sticking out in the middle. So what you can just do right now, get that out of your face, just cut it because you went over top of it, and you will now have 5 of these clusters going around in a circle. So let's continue on then to round number 2. So round number 2 and 3 are identical on the way that they're done. So you're going to notice that you have a gap space and you're right up over top of a cluster here. So you have to get to this gap space first. So you have to slip stitch. So just insert into the gap and pull through and through, and you just moved yourself over so that you're in line. So remember, the first cluster that you have to do, you have to chain 3 first, and it's a 2 double crochet cluster. So wrap and in, pull through, and you're just going right into that same space, and you're going to do it. The first time you ever do it, there'll always be 3 double crochets or 3 loops and pull through, and then remember how many chains was it to skip in between the clusters, except for if it's a corner or a point. It's always 2, so chain 2. So it's the same one, same space. You're going to do a group of 3 double crochet clusters, and then once you get that done, it's 4 loops, pull through all 4, and now you're going to separate the cluster again between its neighbor. It'll always be chain 2, except for if it's a point. So coming into the next space, you're going to put in 2 clusters, 2 double crochet clusters. I should say it's 3 double crochet clusters. There's 2 of them. It's kind of confusing, isn't it? So chain 2, and then do another group. So each one of these spaces, you each get 2 separate clusters. So pull through all 4 loops, chain 2 to separate, and then once you have the 2 in that space, you move to the next. So there's going to be 2 in this one as well. So you're going to do this all the way around, and then in round number 3 you're going to do that again in all the spaces in order to keep it going. Okay, so we're almost done this round, and it's a nice easy pattern for you to remember. So it's chain 2 to separate the clusters, come into the next space. That's when you have those 2 done in that space. Okay, chain 2, and then come back in. Make sure you get your 2 clusters in there. Okay, chain 2. Now come into the very last time. So this is the last space before you've gone all the way around. So you're going to put 2 clusters in there too. Chain 2 and 2 cluster and another cluster. There you go. So in order to attach it to the very first one, you have to chain 2 first, and then just go right to the top of the first one and pull through and through. So there is what it looks like. So round number 3 is exactly what you just did. So I need you to slip stitch here. I'm not going to take you all the way around on camera. So you're just going to slip stitch to the first gap. So you're going to start with your beginning cluster. So it's going to be chaining 3 to begin, and then the first one is a 2 double crochet cluster. So you'll end up with just 3 loops on the hook only. It's the only time that happens. And then separate it with chain 2, and then coming back into the same space, you're going to put in another 3 double crochet cluster. And then chain 2, and then move to the next one. So the next one will have 3 double crochet cluster, chain 2, 3 double crochet cluster, chain 2, and then you jump to the next space. So please do that all the way around for round number 3. When you get all the way back around, the last space will have 2 of the clusters that are separated by a chain 2, and before you join it to the first one, you got to chain 2 first and then join. So we're going to move on now to round number 4, and round number 4 we now begin to transition to a star. It's not hard, you just got to pay attention. So let's begin round number 4. So let's begin round number 4. There's 5 points of the star and we're going to start with our first point and then we just transition, and once I show you how to do it I'll show you twice and then you do the other 3 on your own. To begin the first one you're going to slip stitch to the first chain space and then begin. So the first one is going to be a chaining of 3. It's going to be a beginning cluster. So there will be 2 double crochets that are put here with the cluster like you did before. And then you chain 2. Easy to remember. The next one is going to be the first point. So here's how you do it. You're going to put in 2 clusters that are separated by chain 2, then chain 4, and then another 2 clusters that are separated by chain 2, all within this one space. So let's begin. So we're going to do a cluster. So it's 3 double crochets that are clustered together. Okay, once you get your 4 loops, pull through all 4. That's 1 cluster, chain 2. Do another cluster, four loops, pull through all 4. So that is one side of the star. So here's the point that we're going to do now. We're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the only time that you change from doing 2s to 4. It's on the point. So just shift things around if you just need more space. So just kind of pull on it. So just another cluster into the same space. And once you see your 4 loops you're good to go. Pull through all 4, chain 2, and then one last cluster into that same space. Seems like a lot going on in this corner, but it's just a matter of getting yourself started on the star in order to get the shape. So now you got your 4 loops again, pull through all. Now you're going to chain 2 and you're going to finish this one side off by coming into the next space with a cluster. You get your 4 loops, pull through, chain 2. So here is the deal. I want you at this point is to skip over this next space just like you see here, and I want you to jump into the second one, and this is the middle point that separates the 2 points. So there's going to be a point here and a point here somewhere. So this one is right in between. You're just going to skip it and go to the second over and start with a cluster. And we're going to do another point. Okay, so chain 2, and now the next space is your new point. So you're going to do a cluster, chain 2, and another cluster into the same one. But we're not done. Now you're going to chain 4 to make your point. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then coming back into the same space I want you to put in another cluster. Okay, and then chain 2 and another cluster one more time. So there's a total of 4 of these clusters that are belonging to each of the points at this time, and they will be in the future as well. So once you get that done, chain 2, go to your next space, and this will finish off this side of the point. So you're just going to do a cluster, and then chain 2. So you're going to skip the next space and go to the second over and begin another one. So you can see that the points are starting to materialize. So skip this one, go to the second, and redo exactly what you know. So you've got a cluster, chain 2, and in the next space there's going to be a cluster, chain 2, a cluster, chain 4, a cluster, chain 2, and a cluster, chain 2, and then in the next space then you do that and then you skip over once again. So please do that all the way around for round number 4. So I'm coming all the way around. I just finished the last point. I'm about to run into the first one. So I finished the last point. Don't forget to go into that next space to do that final cluster on the other side of the point. And then chain 2, and you're skipping the next one anyway, just like you should be, and then you're just going to go into the top of the first one. So now what I need to show you is that round number 5 all the way to the end is exactly identical. So the only difference is, and let me come right back, let me just recap and then I'll be right back. So what's going to happen in the next rounds is that you can see that there's a cluster and then there's a point, and then a cluster, and a point. So there's 2 clusters that are sitting in between the points. So the next time that we go through this, because of the spaces that you just created, you have one cluster, you have another, and then you have another one right here. So you have 3 clusters in a row. So you got 1 space and 2 spaces. That means that this time around there's going to be 2 clusters that sit by themselves and then the point. And the point's exactly what you already know. It's a cluster, chain 2, cluster, chain 4, cluster, chain 2, and a cluster all within the same space, and then chain 2 and then start up again. So the only difference is now from this round forward is that there's just going to be changing the number of clusters that it takes to get to a point. So without further ado, let me show you how to get started, and then we'll leave the rest of it for you to begin. So to always get started from this point on, you're going to slip stitch to the first chain space that you see here, and you're just going to slip stitch and chain 3, and we're going to do our first cluster, which is going to be 2 double crochets only because it's the first time you're starting. Chain 2, and then just go to the next space, and you're going to put another cluster, and this one will sit by itself. And then chain 2, and now this chain 4 space is the new point. So you're going to put in a cluster. Oops, I finished that all the way. I should not have. Just go only to a certain point because you want to collect them. Then chain 2, cluster again. Okay, now chain 4, it's the point. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So after you get your 2, put in your chain 4 and then cluster once back again in the point. So 1 cluster here, chain 2 and cluster again. Now I wouldn't be so worried about counting the number of clusters that it takes to get back to a center point. I don't think you need to. You just have to be conscious where the center point is. So chain 2 after you've done the point, and then come to the first space that's available to you, and you're going to put in another cluster. Chain 2, go to the next space and do another cluster, and then you're back at the center point. You can always tell when it's the center point as well. You can see how it's leaning into each other. So you're going to chain 2, skip the middle one, and just go into the other side of it. So right over here. And you're going to do a cluster. So you're primarily looking for those ones that are in the middle that are sticking out on themselves. So once you get your chain 2 done, go to the next space, do another cluster, and then chain 2, and then you're in the point again. So the point is exactly what you know it to be. So there's going to be a cluster, chain 2, and a cluster, chain 4, and another cluster, chain 2, and another cluster. So the points are easy to remember. Just got to put the legwork in, and this is allowing you to gain a space so that you can get bigger as you're going around. Chain 2, come to the first space that's beyond it, and I want you to place a cluster. Chain 2, come to the next space, there's a cluster there too, and then chain 2, and here is the middle. You can see it. It's right in the middle. It's a little bit more open. Skip over it and just jump to the next one over here, and that's all you need to do. So when you get back around, you're just going to slip stitch then to the beginning. You're just going to slip stitch, and then when you get started again, you're just going to slip stitch over to the first space and then begin, and you'll have 1, 2, 3 clusters now, and then the point. So you can see that we've gone from 1 cluster by itself, then into 2 by itself. The next time there will be 3, and so on, and that'll be on either side of the point, just like you see. So this is a really easy pattern to be able to master, and you can stop as big as you want to go. It gives you instructions that it's about 25 centimeters or 25 inches or 63 centimeters from the point to point, and that again is up to you, and if you want to go bigger you can do so. This pattern should sit down with you anyway, so good luck with that. This is the Star Cluster Crochet Blanket, a free pattern available on michaels.com. Hopefully that you've enjoyed the pattern instruction changes as well, and I hope that you enjoy. We'll see you. Bye-bye.